board previously met in closed session under exception C1, C11, and C21. With that, I'd like to call back to order the July 23rd, 2024 Waukegan Public School Board of Education meeting. If I can have a roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian. Ms. Gonzalez. Mr. Riddle.
Present.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lansing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, so we do have a quorum. I know Ms. Fabian will be joining us, and unfortunately, Ms. Gonzalez is unable to make it due to work. With that, I'd like a motion to resume open session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Lansing. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Mr. Silva, if you'd be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, my president's report this evening is I hope the community as well as the Board of Education enjoyed the short break. July is a truncated month for us, so I appreciate the time off and the time to reset and reconnect. I want to thank the public for coming out this evening. We got a lot of different things that we need to address as we prepare to open the school year. I did want to circle back with the board. You'll be getting a poll for us to be able to find a date for our workshop. There was not a Saturday in July that we had all the board members available. So I will be sending it out if you guys can pick your two best so that I can also coordinate with our IASB rep so that we can get them out here as well. So that'll be coming from Nick. And then along with that, we also want to make sure that we are moving forward with starting on the superintendent's goals for this upcoming school year. We as a board set an expectation that we wanted to have those at least close to finalized before the school year kicked off, and believe it or not, that's only 3 weeks away. So we want to do that as quickly as possible. I also just want to I'll pause there. We have our student board members. I know this is their first official meeting, and so did you want to speak, one or the other, or? You don't have to. No pressure. I know it's your first meeting. You guys are kind of figuring out what you want to do. But yeah, if you want to kind of introduce yourself, yeah, go ahead. It should be on. Maybe it's on. Yep.
Hello? Is it on? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Hello, everybody. This is my first board meeting. I'm obviously a little bit nervous, but thank you. But I have a couple of things to say. You know, I really didn't have time to prepare for this, but I just want to thank Victor for the work that he has done this past school year, for the community, for the Waukegan High School. He has really changed a lot of good and great things. And it's not only here, I know that, he has done work all over Illinois. But this school year, I really want to focus. Waukegan High School has a lot of big problems, and it really starts, in one point. And I'm still trying to get a better handle at it. But right now, I really think it's, the lack of motivation and the lack of motivation and how students respect each other, how we treat each other. There's not a lot of nice things in the school right now, so I just really want to focus on spreading positivity, because I feel like that's where everything starts, positivity. Because if people aren't nice to each other, things are gonna go bad. This school year, there's been a lot of fights. It hasn't been good. I would say there has been a fight almost weekly, and that is not acceptable at all. So I just really want to change that, because I don't like using the word hate, but I hate seeing people treat each other so bad, and it hurts me, because it's my friends, it's my community, it's my school. It's where I study, it's where I learn, and if other people are learning and being surrounded by that, they're not gonna be. Like seeing that, I go back to class and think, like, wow, like this is really how our school has ended up, and I struggle focusing in class and thinking about everything that's happening in the hallways. And for people who are already not doing good with their grades, it has to be so much worse on them. So I just want to change that. Thank you. And sorry for being short on this. Thank you.
Awesome. So yeah, these are our two student board members, and just want to remind they were appointed at our last board meeting. This is the first time that we have two, one representing the Washington campus and one representing the Brookside campus. So really do appreciate their presence on the board, and so we look forward to working with them over the next year. All right, so we do not have anything on the special recognitions and presentations this evening. So we do have what's on the agenda?
The special recognition.
Go ahead if you have something at this time, Ms. Hannah.
Yeah, I do. Special recognition, and we should be being very, very grateful that we have a National Association of School Resource Officer. Our officer, Falatico, was awarded nationally and recognized for the job that he does at the schools, the high school, with our students. And he was picked out of, I think it was hundreds of SROs across the nation. And our SRO from here was chosen nationally. And I think that calls for special recognition.
And it
You
will.
know.
So we have a presentation. So Ms. Hannah, if you want to do a round of applause for him tonight, but we do have a presentation at an upcoming meeting.
Well, I just got to do that.
Congratulations, Officer Falatico, and as I mentioned, they are working on a presentation for our upcoming meeting to recognize them for that honor. All right, we have our approval of minutes, and one of these, we got approval, item 8A, approval of the minutes for the open session meeting, May 28th. B, approval for the minutes, I'll take them individually. So item 8A, approval of the minutes for the open session meeting, May 28th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Mr. McBride. Any comments? Questions? All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Item 8B, approval of the minutes for the special open session meeting on June 5th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hannah. Any comments, questions on the motion? All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Item 8C, approval of the minutes for the open session meeting of June 11th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hannah. Any comments, questions, corrections to the minutes? All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Item 8D, approval of the minutes for the special open session meeting June 20th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hannah. Any comments, questions on the motion?
I think we only had a few members missing from that meeting, so I believe there was 3. I think the board president wasn't here,
Yep.
and a couple others. Yes, Ms. Hannah wasn't here.
I wasn't.
That was the meeting to interview the candidates.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
So I guess we'll do a roll call.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Fabian, Ms. Gonzalez, Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
I pass.
Ms. Lensing,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Pass. Minutes are approved.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Which one?
We can't, we don't have,
Okay, that's fine. We'll bring it back. That was item 8D, right?
Yes.
Yep, we are at the opportunity now for public comment. When I call your names, please come up to the microphone. I'm gonna call a few names at a time. Actually, I'm gonna call all of them. There's only 4 on the list this evening. So if you all can line up in order to help expedite this process. We do want to remind individuals of civility. We also ask that you refrain from mentioning student or employee names in your remarks. You will have 3 minutes, and there are clocks on the screens around the room. If you need translation services will be provided for you, and you will get an additional 3 minutes for a total of 6 to allow for translation. First name, and then let the record reflect that Ms. Fabian has joined the meeting at 7:26. William Coleman, Bruce Wright, Rayon Edwards, and Kershana Hanna, in that order. And Mr. Coleman, your time will begin whenever you start speaking.
I want to take a moment and say Sonia Massey. If you don't know her name, you should know her name. A black woman shot in the face by police very recently.
Springfield.
Our issues will not be solved until we abolish the police. If you don't know what abolition is, please follow the North Chicago Think Tank at Gmail or Facebook, or read Becoming Abolitionist by Dereka Purnell. I'm here today to echo the many requests for a measurable update for the Black Male Achievement Endeavor publicized by Waukegan Public School on December 21st, 2024 at Carmen Buckner Elementary School. That was meant to be the first of many thinking sessions where educators, community members, parents, and others could help us define what the future of the African American Male Achievement Initiative would look like. We need to know, will future thinking sessions be scheduled? What are the dates and intentions? We were told too often African American males are faced with low expectations, discipline disparities, and a lack of cultural responsive education. Please provide us with details and launch dates on the comprehensive program and its measurable attempts to address low expectations for Black males, discipline disparities, and lack of culturally responsible education specifically for young Black males in the Waukegan School District. We also want to know, is the MCEL project directly related or in charge of the Black Male Achievement Comprehensive Program? If so, how are you measurably ensuring that Black students are not marginalized by being absorbed into the POC, or people of color aesthetic, which has classically diminished the needs of Black people globally? Lastly, I would like to know, you could state clearly how you plan to communicate directly with parents and guardians of Black students within Waukegan Public School 60 in regards to the updates of the African American Male Achievement Comprehensive Program and ways to engage outside of school board meetings or inaccessible group meetings. We really need to see what was supposed to be done and what is being done. There's a lot of confusion and a lot of people are asking for updates, and I haven't seen anything. I think you guys all have my email. I just need to know what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Mr. Wright?
Good evening. My name is Bruce Wright. I'm a parent of recent graduate for Waukegan Washington campus who will be attending college on the 12th, the same time that Waukegan year will be started. We'll hold the applause, because I also have my son, my young Black African American son, who will be starting at the Washington campus. And I did attend a meeting in November. I shut my shop down early. I own a business here in Waukegan. I shut it down so I can come here because I was told that young Black males are not making it through 4 years of Waukegan High School. So that is something that was very important to me, seeing how I have a son in the school, in a system, and he tells me he wants to go to college like his sister. So I made a point to shut my shop down early to come, and I sat there and I saw a bunch of charts and graphs in November. I believe it was at a school in close to North Chicago. I can't remember the name of it, McCall, I believe. Carmen Buckner. And we sat there, and there was a gentleman that had a bunch of charts and graphs, and there were some promises made, and about engaging parents like myself that's showing up, that's interested to learn about how we can help these young Black children. I haven't heard anything. Here we are, less than 3 weeks away from a new school agenda. I came here and I'm looking at this agenda. I don't see anything being addressed on this. So it's making me wonder what is being done. Not that anything hasn't been done, but I'm very anxious to know what has been done and what can I look forward to in 3 weeks from today. And I just feel like I also want to know what has been done. How is that being communicated? Because whenever there's a lockdown, I receive a text message. Whenever there's anything going on at the school, if my son's missing an assignment, if attendance not right, I receive notifications. So I would like to know, where are the notifications pertaining to the promises that was made on that day? Where are those emails? Where are those text messages? My son has 2 years left in this school. I need to know that he means something. And then I heard about this my sale. I need to learn more about it. I don't know I don't know if it's under a different group. What is that group? Does my son identify with that group? I don't know. So I'm looking for answers and concerns. What has been done, how this information will be conveyed to myself as well as other members of the community. And if nothing's been done, I need to know. I need to understand what's going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Edwards?
Good evening, everybody. I encourage you guys to come back because there is answers. Actually, people's been getting paid for the Black Boy Initiative. Several staff have received stipends for that, but nothing is going on. Tonight, I'm gonna hit y'all where I heard it a little bit, okay? Because see, when I was growing up, I was always told, never try fixing what isn't broken. Here we are, a few weeks from school, no principal at AOEC. It makes no sense. I'm gonna say what so many of us is thinking, and I say this to my Caucasian brothers and sisters with no disrespect intended, but we didn't just put another one in charge of Brookside. When you say to me that this community is predominantly black and brown, please help me understand why white guys have to teach our kids, or be in charge rather, right? And Miss Hannah, I applaud you tonight for giving Flacco his kudos, but I'm gonna talk about Sandra Macy. This is why I want the police away from my kids. This is why they're scared. She said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, only to be shot in the face and killed.
After saying
You understand what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about. But tonight, we have this LGBTQIA+ memorandum on here. Black folks ain't never been no protected class of people in this country. And we've been here since all of these other issues happened. But we seem to expedite everything else outside of us. Y'all don't care. Y'all lowered the credits to 17 just to get up out of that high school. What college y'all think gonna look at our babies? But I'm talking to adults. So-called professionals, people we trusted to make these decisions for us and our babies, and y'all have failed us drastically. Miss Hannah, tonight, I hope you give this community an apology, because at the last meeting, and I'm gonna say this to you and to everybody at this board going forward, when it is public comment time, it's our time. Whether you agree, dislike, whatever, we should be allowed this. This is all we have. Remember, the staff don't communicate with us. They don't respond to emails or nothing. But Miss Fabian, I'm gonna say to you tonight too, dear, please keep your bulldog chained up, honey. To bring our kids up here and to use them for y'all mess was disgusting. Because what a lot of people don't know is we communicate with a lot of Latinos too. We work with them. We actually love them. And a lot of those parents didn't even know why them or their babies was here. We watched the same behavior in the last election. Let's be adults and play fair, because I can play nasty too. Thank you.
Ms. Hannah?
Okay, good evening, board and community. I just come with just a concern. 3 weeks before school starts, and there is no principal at AOEC. There's two things that I want to touch on just a little bit. That we were at a town hall meeting just last week or 2 weeks ago, and you guys talked about retention, you talked about growing our own, you talked about how we have people here, we have great people in places, experience and this and that. Well, I would like to highlight someone that I will not name, but has worked at AOEC for 5 years, that has been a principal, that has been an administrator, that has experience there with the students at AOEC, with the mission of AOEC. And I'm just wondering, are we growing our own, or are we passing this particular individual up? Was it all smoke that you guys were blowing, talking about we value the people that we have here, and there's a process of hiring and things like that, but it's said and there's words in the community that the person has already been picked before the job was even posted. So if that is the case, why are you guys blowing smoke into the atmosphere about the staff here and they're not being treated fairly? So take a look at what we have here, value what we have here. This particular person has dedicated their life, their career for 15 years within Waukegan District 60, and should not be looked over because you already had a plan in place for this position to be filled.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Do appreciate those who spoke up for public comment. Thank you all for reaching out. And Superintendent has taken notes and will make sure to get those questions answered. As we move back to the agenda, we have our consent agenda. There's only one item, so I know there were questions on this one, so we're taking it item 11A if you read the recommended action.
It is a recommendation that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to approve the facility rental waiver request submitted by International Christian Fellowship. ICF has submitted 2 events for usage at the gymnasium at Clark Elementary. The combined request balance to be waived is $6,340.
Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McBride, which allows us to have
Conversation.
Any comments, questions? Go ahead, Ms. Fabian.
So I'm looking at the waiver, and they're classified as 3 when they should be classified as 4, which means the fees should go up, and they would not qualify to do a full waiver of fees.
Is Deputy Moulton here? Who do you have to take that?
Mr. Moulton is on vacation. Is Mr. Briner, can you help with this one on the facility fee waiver?
Well, so thank you, Mr.
So-
Briner. I guess for me, if you guys will withdraw your motions, we can hold it over to get
Yeah.
those questions answered.
Perfect.
I will say for the record, part of it has to do with the amount of the waiver, as well as the, like you said, making sure that it's classified in the correct category to even apply for a waiver. So without Deputy Moulton being here this evening, I wouldn't feel comfortable voting on this. Go ahead, Ms. Lindsay.
So my concern with that is we may need to adjust the dates because they're looking to start August 7th. And if we're pushing into the second Tuesday of August, that's going to be beyond that date.
So Superintendent, is Mr. Briner, Deputy Moulton going to make sure that the board's questions get answered and then come back and either modify modify their recommendation?
Yes, we'll have a recommendation and some answers before Friday. I believe Mr. Moulton returns tomorrow, Thursday.
Is anybody here from Christian Fellowship?
Yeah, I guess I'll ask, but I would still just
I just
personally
want to
feel
know-
more
still-
comfortable with,
I just still want to know what was going on, what the purpose of rental is.
yeah.
That's not feasible to ask?
Well, I mean, even if they answer they put the purpose in there, but is anyone here from Christian Fellowship? No. All right. With that, are you willing to withdraw your motion?
Yes.
Are you willing to withdraw your motion?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, we are now at purchases and contracts. We got item 12A. 95% core phonics curriculum coaching for elementary schools.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve 95% core phonics on-site coaching for all elementary schools in the amount of $270,400.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Lindsay. Any comments, questions on the motion? Roll call vote.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item 12B, purchase of 1,500 Dell Chromebooks for one-to-one student program.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve the purchase of 1,500 Dell Chromebooks at the cost of $684,872.18. This will allow all newly enrolled students to receive a one-on-one device.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
second by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah, why, this is coming from out of local funds. I'm just wondering, why isn't this coming from, out of IT?
Dr. Cuevas is coming to the mic.
Good evening, Board President, Superintendent, Board members, and community members. Ms. Hannah, this is coming from ITS local funds. So basically, this is being budgeted to purchase these devices.
It was already budgeted
Yes.
to our...
That's correct.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And even with that, right, I just do want to budget it for this fiscal year.
That's correct.
So we have not approved that budget, Ms. Hannah, but it was in the plan.
That's correct.
All right, thank you. So item 12B, any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item 12C, renewal of letters training cohort for K through 8 teachers.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve the renewal of letters cohort 2 for K through 8 teachers in the amount of $87,920.
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Hannah, seconded by Mr. Riddle. Any comments or questions on the motion?
It says we're moving towards,
Ms. Hannah, can you speak into the mic, please?
we're moving towards, the thing that's needed to teach our children how to read. And I'm glad to see that all of this is being put in place, and I will be excited to see the outcome, because we all know that once children learn how to read, then their lives are expanded. Their horizons look brighter. And so this is just a part of what this is doing. And I just want to thank all of those that are truly putting in the work to get this our students up to grade level reading, and to have a lifelong just that they will be lifelong learners and readers. And so that's important. And I love to see this.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item D, renewal of everyday math fluency game kits for elementary schools.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve the renewal of EM4 game kits for math fluency in the amount of $69,741.54.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Fabian,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Riddle. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Just a quick comment.
Go ahead, Ms.
on
Fabian.
Anytime we can make learning interactive and fun and have tangible and tactile items, I fully support that, in addition to seeing EM4 and how it's been progressing our students. So just thank you for continuing to supplement our teachers with resources.
So, and my only comment around that is, one of the things we talk about is our role as board members is to provide the resources. When we expend the funds and we give them, my expectation is that all of the teachers and staff know how they can access them. And so there's oftentimes a disconnect from the things that we purchase and the resources that teachers know that they have access to in the classroom. So as we do our distribution plan, I know that our principals are dealing with a lot, but if we can just make sure that these resources are reaching the classrooms so that they can benefit the students. Roll call.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Fabian,
Yes.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Lensing,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are now at item 12F. Everyday math, EM4 skills on-site coaching for elementary schools.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve EM4 on-site coaching for K through 5 in the amount of $130,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Fabian. All in favor signify with, Any comments or questions?
Only that this is the coaching that the teachers need to keep this program moving forward, and it's making, a lot of results already, and so this, I'm glad to see that we're continuing to provide this PD for our teachers.
And it speaks to your point that we
Right.
can provide the resource, but if the teachers don't know how to access or utilize them, then we're stuck. So.
Right.
All right, roll call.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Fabian,
Yes.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Lensing,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item 12F, one-year emergency transportation contract with Lakeside Transportation.
It is a recommendation that the Board of Education authorize the emergency one-year transportation contract with Lakeside Transportation to support transporting diverse learners and McKinney-Vento students for school year 2024 through 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Hannah. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Riddle.
Mr. Riddle and Ms. Lindsay.
Oh, me first? Okay. Just that I just want to make sure this is roughly a $2.5 million contract. The students that ride this are in small transportation, not big school buses. And some of them, I noticed on the contract that we're notified after the third day if a student didn't show. And I had asked that it maybe be pushed to the second day so that we can contact those parents right away, but I think the administration is okay with the third day. However, that leaves only a couple days left. If the student isn't showing, maybe the parent has moved. Some of these are McKinney-Vento students. They do move around a lot. So I would just encourage transportation to make sure we get right on it. If we're informed that a student is a no-show, so that we quickly find out, has the student moved? Is he sick or is she sick? What's the problem? Why are they not showing anymore? So that we're not continuing to be paid, or we're paying for these students on a daily basis, and they're not coming to school, and maybe they have moved. So I just want to make sure that if we approve this contract, our district follows up quickly to find out what's happening with students that are not showing.
So
Question.
I want to elaborate, I guess, to Mr. Riddle's question. Superintendent, would that be a function already of the McKinney-Vento program, or with DL to track attendance?
Yes.
So in two ways. So what Mr. Riddle is asking is that they be notified that they don't take the bus, but we are also looking at attendance records of those student groups.
Yes, we look,
Yeah.
yes.
But my question about the attendance is that, we check attendance daily, and they get an automatic phone call, not necessarily a person, that your child hasn't shown. And if the parent has moved, they may not be calling us to let us know. I think it's important the district follow up quickly because we are being charged in many of these cases quite a bit to pick up students in other areas. They're not all in Waukegan. They've moved. McKinney-Vento can be anywhere in the county. If this was their school, they're coming back to our school. We may be paying quite a bit to pick the student up. And we've heard, that sometimes from these drivers that students don't show. So it's just important, I think, that we follow up quickly.
I think that's the request and create a plan around that. So if we're going to have them alert us and then also track attendance of these students to make sure that, to Mr. Riddle's point, there's a significant cost to the taxpayer for these transportation services.
So that is noted. I do want to state with our McKinney-Vento students, outreach is very much in touch with them, and so home visits do go out. I mean, they're in constant contact to ensure that they're getting the resources and support that they need. But every case is different, so we have to approach every case with its individuality.
And there are other questions, but because of terminology, can you just very quickly explain what the McKinney-Vento students are?
Sure. The McKinney-Vento program is our homeless population that we supply clothing, transportation. They can live within our district. They can live outside of our district. It is their choice. If they choose to continue to want to attend Waukegan Public Schools, then we need to provide transportation so that they're able to get to Waukegan, hypothetically, if they live in Round Lake or Beach Park, etc.
Thank you. I've had Ms. Lindsay a second.
I'm just wanting to compare the cost of this one-year contract to prior. So in comparison to prior years, is it on par? Is it below? Is it above?
Ms. Vanderbrook, do you want to speak to that?
I don't know that I have that information. Is
Okay.
Ms. Williams here?
I did. Okay, so Ms. Williams is stating that she does not have that information. I can get back to the board with that information. So Ms. Williams, you heard Ms. Lindsay's question. If you can get that information, and Nick, and we'll get it to the board.
Ms. Fabian?
So it kind of goes along with Ms. Lenzing's question. Obviously, we got to this number somehow, right? You don't just get a random quote or a random estimation. So I just think for transparency purposes, and I believe is what you're trying to get at, is how did we come to this number? Yes, we have a price sheet, which tells us how much per hour and per vehicle, but we're not seeing, we're estimating this many children for this many hours for this type of vehicle to come up with that number. So it's kind of hard for us to compare and see, is this a fair dollar amount or not? I am going to vote yes because it is a service that is highly needed, not just for our McKinney-Vento children, but also for our DL children, and so we need to have something in place. But I think it helps us when we know where that dollar amount is coming from. It's somebody came to that very specific number somehow, right? And then I'll just leave it at that. We just need to be a little more transparent.
Ms. Williams is going to come up. I do believe that she can address part of that question. I would also think that Attorney Joe Clary, when writing this contract, had the comparables.
Yes, it's both.
So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Williams. I don't see Mr. Clary, so I don't know if he has anything to add in regards to the contract. Go ahead, Ms.
So the
Williams.
price was based on the committed 50 vehicles that we asked for them to provide for us, for our students. So it was the price amount times the 50 times the 176 days. That's where that amount came from.
And so this can go up or down, or is this the bottom?
It's an estimate, but we're estimated at the 50 vehicles at this time between the two departments.
But I guess the question is, when we're looking at the different vehicles, there's different pricing, and when we're looking at the hours, there's different pricing. So is that like the middle ground? When you did 50 vehicles, did you do 50 vehicles at the van price for 4 hours? So like to try to gauge, are we like, is this the lowest that we would be charged, or the maximum would be charged, or somewhere in the middle?
Okay, we're still putting them together, but I'll get that information for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's just to help with budgeting. So we had a couple questions.
I had a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Hannah.
Now this is a new service for us, and my concern is that are they familiar with all of our processes, procedures with our children? Are they aware that some may have to go out of Waukegan, be picked up from other places, other cities, and all of that?
Yes, they are. They are informed. I sat down with them. I've sat down with them a couple of times. They are a full-blown transportation company, so they're aware of the McKinney-Vento process and the out-of-district students. But I've met with them. I've visited their facilities. I've seen their safety program. So I think we're good.
And I would, and could you kind of tell what happened with the former?
So, Ms. Williams, I'm going to ask that you don't address that question. I'm going to allow Ms. Vanderbrook to respond to that question, just from the legal perspective.
I'm not comfortable speaking to the legal issues at this time on the board in public.
So, Ms. Hannah, we will circle back with you on your question.
Oh,
Ms.
I
Hannah,
just
can you
wanted to
repeat your
know
question?
what happened to the previous company.
So the recommendation at this time, Superintendent, is that we would be switching companies.
Yes, I do believe I can say this. The board was briefed in closed session why this is necessary and why we are going in this direction. So publicly, I cannot speak on this, and that is why I'm asking Ms. Williams to hold her comment. And I will let legal address any questions or concerns the board has through our attorney.
But you're also making this recommendation is because regardless of which vendor we go with, we need to provide these services beginning the first day of school.
We definitely need these services for the first day of school.
Thank you. I had Mr. McBride, and then, did you still have a question, Ms. McBride?
Yeah, sort of. I got a question. The question was, how many students, because I understand now it's not just McKinney-Vento, it's DL students too involved in this contract, is that correct?
Correct.
And approximately, just a stab at it, as how many of the McKinney students do you think we have, you identified this year?
So they're in the process of enrolling the students. I'd have to contact both department heads to get that number, but we're constantly waiting on enrollment.
Well, I'm understanding some people that work in that department that I've talked to said that there's a study coming, and right now we had probably a maximum of about 300. Did you hear that at all?
I can't answer that. I don't have that number.
And then my next question is, this contract is for a year, and they did not have to go out and bid for it or anything.
That's correct. It's an emergency contract.
Okay, so now are we entertaining any other agencies outside of First Students?
We're currently looking into our options right now. We're looking into our options right now. I'm trying to see if the 50 vehicles will be enough to transport both departments.
This, as a reminder to the board and the community, the transportation department did go out to bid on this. None of the bidders provided a responsive response. That has produced the emergency need. There is the intent to put this contract out for bid again, but we had to get transportation in place to cover both the summer as well as this upcoming year.
Yeah, well, that's what I asked. Thank you. Yeah. All right, that's it. You answered all the questions well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Lindsay?
I just wanted to you're fine, Ms. Williams. I just wanted to give kudos to Mr. Cleary because there are some consequences should the company not arrive within a timely fashion because the contract says you have to arrive within 10 minutes. And there are some essentially performance indicators. If you're not meeting the expectations of the contract, there's a financial impact for them. So I'm just thankful that we're starting to integrate that more and more.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
I'm going to pass.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item 13A, personnel action items for 7/23/2024.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments, retirements, retirement extension, and accept the resignations as found on schedules F1002, L949, and G660, with the exception of the fourth name on the administrative appointments scheduled F1002, which will be voted on separately.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Mr. McBride. Any comments or questions on the motion? Go ahead, Ms. Lindsay.
I have a question and then a comment, so I'll start with my question. Are we able to provide the community context around the TBA on the listings?
I know Mr. Figueroa said he wasn't here this evening, but is there someone, the representative from the Human Resources Office or the superintendent?
Ms. Trevino? Ms. Trevino, can you please expound more on the TBA?
That's fine.
Good evening, Board President, board members, student board members, community members, and staff members. Can you please repeat the question for me?
Can you just elaborate for the community what TBA means on the schedules as provided?
Sure. So these are teachers that are incoming pending visa authorization going through U.S. Customs. Upon arrival, they will be visiting with their appropriate principal, their designated school or grade level, based on licensing, and then it would be announced via a certified letter that goes out to our CBA members and the staff at each building or the area superintendent.
And then one clarifying question for us, do we then update their locations via board docs, or is it just handled with human resources?
In the past, it's been just handled with Human Resources. If you'd like an update, we can ask HR to prepare that report.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Trevino. And then the comment that I had is just regarding the resignations, not for you specifically, you're fine. We just have some really great people that have dedicated really great efforts to this district and this community, and it was a bit sad for me personally to see them not continuing on with us. I won't name names for their privacy. I understand I'm able to, but I just won't. But I just want to thank them for giving Waukegan the service and their dedication.
And just for the record, because I have a family member that is on tonight's personnel appointments, I'll be passing.
Same.
All right. Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
For the reasons stated, pass.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Pass. All right. Congratulations. We do have, actually, let's hold off on this.
Yep.
One.
Yep.
Yep.
So if we can now take a motion to approve the one that
Number
was held
4.
over. Yep.
It is the administration recommendation that we accept the fourth name on the administrative appointment schedules F1002.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll
Yeah.
call. I'll go ahead, Ms. Adams.
Yeah, I asked for this to be separated simply because it's a part of the Black Boy Initiative, and I have some concerns in reference to the purpose of the Black Boy Initiative, but then also of the managing of it. So, yeah, we can call roll call, please call the question.
We're still on item 13A. Roll call.
It's under special initiatives.
Unless y'all change it up, shit finna start getting disrupted. I don't know if y'all watching the news or paying attention. Nobody likes this process. Can't nobody understand nothing? Do the community understand this? Y'all making sure the community understands how this is going? We don't talk like this. What is this? We keep doing the same things over and over and over again. Y'all see these kids protesting? Nobody saying free Palestine. Nobody talking about Congo. Nobody talking about Sudan. Nobody saying white supremacy. Nobody saying anti-blackness. Y'all think we finna just keep letting this go? I'm telling y'all, warning, warning, warning.
And just as a reminder, public comment is the opportunity for the public to engage. Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Absolutely.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
No.
Ms. Lunzi?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We do have some administrative appointments that we would like to highlight at this time.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Maurice Young, who previously served as a substitute teacher at Jack Benny Middle School. He will now serve as the Culture and Climate Specialist at Carmen Buckner Elementary with a starting salary of $60,000. Congratulations, Coach Mo. Very, very proud to have you in our district.
Congratulations.
Mr. Silva, get him over there with that football program. He's amazing. Our next appointment will be Miss Stephanie Allen, who previously served as a truancy officer here at Lincoln Center. She will now serve as a climate and culture specialist at Edith Smith Middle School with a starting salary of $55,000. Congratulations, Miss Allen. Our next appointee is Mr. Julio Diaz, who previously was a director of education at Humaco Community College. He will now serve as the academic chair of math at the Brookside campus with a starting salary of $90,000. Congratulations, Mr. Diaz.
Doctorates with honors. Congratulations. Felicidades.
Our next appointee is Rafael Roman, who previously served as an academic director of education for Inclusion Academy. He will now serve as the academic chair of social studies at the Brookside campus with a starting salary of $90,000. Congratulations, Mr. Roman.
Congratulations. Felicidades.
Our next appointee will be, I don't even see him on here, David Marks, who previously served as the Lake County Tech campus instructor in Grays Lake. He will now serve as the academic chair of career and technical education with a starting salary of $90,000. Congratulations, Mr. Marks. Our next appointee will be Ms. Tiffany Scott, who previously served as an assistant principal at John Lewis. She will now serve as the assistant principal at the Washington campus with a starting salary of $95,000. Congratulations, Ms. Scott. Our next appointee is Deshauna Carter, who previously served as the Associate Director of Career and Leadership with Chicago Scholars. She will now serve as the Manager of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion with a starting salary of $64,000. Congratulations, Ms. Carter. Our next appointee is Mr. Michael Gonzalez, who previously served as the manager of K-8 sports at the Brookside campus and district-wide. He will now serve as the manager of special initiatives with a starting salary of $87,500. Congratulations, Mr. Gonzalez. Our next appointee is William Metalopoulos. I hope I didn't mess that up, Bill. I know I did. Who previously served as an educational safety specialist here at Lincoln Center. He will now serve as our educational safety manager at a starting salary of $79,782.53. Congratulations, Bill.
Buy more Pampers now.
Our next appointee will be Mr. Robert Smith, who previously was the president of First Midwest Insurance Group in Des Plaines, Illinois. He will now serve as the manager of benefits and risk management with a starting salary of $95,000. Congratulations, Mr. Smith. Congratulations. Welcome to Waukegan.
Serious.
Welcome. Man of business. Risk management ain't no joke.
So welcome to all our new staff members. We are excited about our new and those, as we talked about and we heard in public comment, growing your own. So it was also good to see many of our staff promoted or moving into other positions within the district. So congratulations to all. We are now at item 13B, head coaching stipends for 24-25 school year.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education approve head coaching stipends for sport activities during the 2024-25 school year, totaling $302,328.54.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah, I have a comment. As I was going through the list of the coaches and stipends, and I saw a couple discrepancies, and I was just wondering if it could be explained why there's head coaches And there's the head coaches. Wait a minute, where am I? Wait a minute, let me get it. Hold on. And it was, I know the last time that I had asked about this, it was based on the years of coaching. And I see that there are some that have more coaching experience, but they're getting paid less. And can you explain that to me?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Patty?
Good evening, Board President, members of the board, superintendent, members of the community, colleagues. As part of our recent teacher contract negotiation and our salary negotiations, we had some significant changes made to how coaches were categorized. And so there are different groups and different types of sports that have longer seasons or more practices, those types of things, the amount of hours that are spent with the students as student athletes. The groups are categorized differently now. And so although years of experience does help with making sure that our students have experienced coaches, the way that the groups are figured now is different. And so that was part of our teacher contract ratification.
So even though they may be head coaches, there's still that difference?
Different sports are classified into different groups. I can provide a copy of the chart that was part of the teacher contract ratification. Head football is in one category, such as head basketball is, and then head POMS or head dance, head competitive dance would be in a different category. And so different head sports are categorized differently into different groups now, and that was part of our work with our union.
And all of that was negotiated?
Yes, ma'am.
So in other words, it's to be more equitable in the amount of hours that these coaches are putting in.
Yes.
Because some have longer seasons and more practices through the week.
Correct.
Thank you.
So from what I'm hearing, Miss Patty, in the teacher negotiation contract that we previously approved, it was regrouping based on, but was that also salaries tied to those was negotiated?
Correct. The value of each group and the level of experience within that. So there's 6 different groups. There's a base. If you are a first-year coach, it goes up through year 8. And each increment of year of experience has an increase in terms of value. And so the value for a head coach in a group 1 has a higher dollar value than a coach who might be a head coach in a group 6 sport.
Okay, my question was just more tied to were the stipends
The dollar
in-
amounts
yes,
were also
those
part
were
of-
already
yeah,
in it,
the
but
group-
the background is helpful
Yeah.
for the community.
Yep.
Within that as well, on the agenda item, it says assistant coaching stipends will be presented at a future meeting.
Yes.
Were those also part of negotiation
Yes.
contract? Okay.
Yes.
And then I'm learning that we also have coordinators, which are different from head coaches and assistant coaches. Can you help us understand what that difference is?
I would need to have a specific role to be able to make a comparison to make sure I'm speaking accurately. So if you had a specific coordinator title or name or title of position, I would be able to answer that. I'm not sure what coordinator role you might be referring to. I'm sorry.
We don't have athletic coordinators within the district?
We have our athletic directors, and we have our assistant athletic directors who are at the high school. We have Ms. Colette Urbach and Jacob Pakowski, who are our athletic directors at the school level.
Okay. So is there anyone else in charge of school sports outside of a head coach or an assistant coach?
There are middle school level coaches who help support with the middle school JAMS programs and things like that.
Okay. And so were those also negotiated?
That group of the middle school coaches were not part of the negotiation, so that they will have the same dollar value as they have in the past year.
Okay. Do we have a reason as to why they weren't included?
During the time of negotiations, they were not presented as part of the paperwork going back and forth when we were doing negotiations, and so we did not add them to this chart at this time.
Okay. So in that instance, essentially, those questions need to go to their union representation?
Correct.
Okay. So I would just like to make sure that we don't forget groups, because we need to work with an equity lens and always ask the question, who are we leaving out? And making sure that we are providing equitable pay. So for the next contracts, I would hope to see that being, if not by the union representation, addressed by the district administration.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes, as this aligns with the bargained contract.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. So now we are at item 16A, ratification of the first processing of July 2023 board bills, manual check request payments, Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of June 21st, 2023 through June 30th, 2023. Those dates are wrong. Let's read the recommended action.
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the 2nd June 2024 and the 1st of July 2024 processing of board bills, manual check requests, payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of June 19, 2024 through June 30th, 2024, and July 1st, 2024 through July 16, 2024. The accounts payable board payments for the period of June 19, 2024 to June 30th, 2024 total $0, and accounts payable board payments for the period of July 1st, 2024 to July 16, 2024 total $27,711.60. The manual check request payments for the period of June 19, 2024 through June 30th, 2024 total $2,766,530.09. And to July 1st, 2024 through July 16, 2024 totals $2,488,667.11. The Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of June 19th, 2024 through June 30th, 2024 total $2,376,258.54. And to July 1st, 2024 through July 16th, 2024 total $0.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
second by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah, I'm going to pass on the finances because I'm going to reiterate that our spending needs to be looked at carefully as we are spending and allocating resources.
Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
I pass.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes, as it's noted that it's budgeted.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. All right, superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. Lee, if you can get the report up. So today's superintendent report is really focused on the preparation for the first day of school for our students, which is August 12th, and all the planning that went into place in a number of areas. This presentation is going to be informative for our parents and students and staff in regards to registration, transportation, schedules. We're going to cover a large gamut. I'm going to ask my staff that if you do have a component that you know you will be speaking to in this presentation, that you move up to the front so that the board does not have to wait, and the presentation can flow seamlessly as we go through the deck. So I will start first. Lee, you can go to the next slide. So this presentation will cover important dates. An example is our Back to School event, which is scheduled for this Saturday. I'm really, really excited about that. Student registration, medical requirements and deadlines, staffing, safety upgrades and plans, capital improvement and updates, transportation and child nutrition, and planned professional development for our staff. So here's some important dates to be mindful of. Of course, this Saturday is our Back to School Resource Fair. It will be held at our Brookside campus from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We encourage all of our families to come out. I'm sure you will see all of our board there. And we're really excited about our back to school event. And every year, this just grows and gets bigger and better. On July 29th, we have returning student registration, which resumes at your child or student school. July 31st through August 6th, we have Great Beginnings orientation for new teachers. We will also be including our substitutes, and you will be hearing more about that plan today. August 7th through August 9th, we have Staff Institute and Professional Development Days. On August 9th, we have an all-staff kickoff at the Genesee Theater. And August 12th is the first day back for all students in Waukegan Public Schools. It's getting close, guys. In this presentation, you will also see some back-to-school events, whether they're meet and greets, open house, curriculum nights, meet the principals, etc. Different schools have utilized different terminology. If we can go to the next slide. This is more just for information. What you will see is you will see the school, you will see the hours of operation underneath the school name, and then you will see if there's a meet and greet, on what date and from what time. And so we'll take the first one. We'll just go to Lightfoot Early Learning Center. The AM session starts at 8:25 to 11. The PM is from 12:28 to 3. The meet and greet is scheduled for August 8th from 4 to 6. And parents can drop off supplies on August 9th from 3:15 to 4:15. So we see that we have Andrew Cook, Carmen Buckner, Clearview. Go ahead, Lee. You can see there's Glen Flora, Glenwood, Greenwood, and McCall. Just give them a second to look at that. You can go next. Go ahead, Lee. Here you have North, Oakdale, Washington Elementary, and Whittier. Can you go back one more, please? So as you can see, Whittier is having a back-to-school carnival, and they're having a back-to-school play at the park, which may be different from some other schools where you'll see Washington Elementary has some curriculum nights planned and some meet and greets. Oakdale has a picnic planned, so every school has their own twist on this. You can go to the next one. Here we have our middle schools. Well, we have Smith, Brookside, Washington. Well, thank you. Abbott, Benny, Lewis, and Juarez. And you see there they have orientation days and open house dates. Abbott, you see a Rise Up event for the incoming sixth graders. We could go to the next one. And here you have Smith, Brookside, Washington, and AOEC. This presentation is made public in our board docs, and it is the most updated presentation. The next piece of this is schedules and classroom assignments. So student schedules are scheduled to be live in Infinite Campus on August 5th. We will also be having a mass text emailing to parents and students reminding them that where they can access their schedules. Next one. We also have our school supplies, which you can find on our district website. Which is really nice is we have a universal school supplies for our elementary and middle schools. High school lists, of course, vary depending on the content area. And so if you use that QR code, you'll be taken directly to the school supply list. Next piece is student registration. Before I go into student registration, I pretty much covered those pieces on open houses, curriculum nights, kickoffs. Did the area superintendents want to add anything in regards to your area there, or do you feel it's sufficed on? We're good? Okay. So the next piece on student registration, I'm going to call up Eric Christensen, who oversees the registration within our district.
Thank you so much. This past spring, we had early registration for our returning students. I'm pleased to present that 73% of the families went on the parent portal and submitted their information, which is vitally important. So we have correct addresses, correct phone numbers for everybody, so that busing can be taken care of over the summer, and we get everything all set and running. The 6th grade students and the 9th grade students, those are families that need to prove residency. Even though they've been attending school through here, they prove going into middle school and going into high school. We had 32% of the 6th graders and 13% of the 9th grade parents prove residency. So the rest, the 26 that did not register and those that did not prove residency yet will need to do so before school begins. The school secretaries are back in the offices next week, and so those families will be asked to come and update their addresses and their phone numbers to make sure that everything's up to date, and going into middle school and going to high school to bring in 2 proofs of residency to make sure that we have everything they need. So that starts next week. The next slide is new student registration. For new student registration, we've had over 700 new kindergarten students register already, with 682 as of July 15th. We are now about 715 as of today. I am expecting about 300 more kindergarten students out there. So if you know any parents of kindergarten students out in the area, get them over to us to get them registered. We want them there on the first day of school. And a lot of times there are a lot of kindergartners don't get it there until after Labor Day. Bring them over here now in July. Yes, July. Get them here and get them registered. We start August 12th. We've already had 143 brand new students in grades 1 through 12 register. I'm expecting another 200 to be registering at the end of July and through August to get them in there. So a lot of people think school starts on September 1st or Labor Day. No, we start August 12th. So please come in. Go to www.wps60.org/registration_appointment. Make an appointment to come to the Welcome Center, and we will get you registered. Thank you.
Our next component is on health requirements, and I'm going to have Ms. Butler outline the expectations of the state and the district. Thank you, Ms. Butler.
Welcome. Good evening. Okay, so for the health requirements, we have physical examination that's required at the preschool, kindergarten, 6th, and 9th grade. It's worthy to note this should be completed by August 12th. Any student transferring in from a different state or country must have an Illinois physical, regardless of grade level, and sport physicals do not meet the state requirement. There is also a dental examination requirement for kindergarten, 2nd, 6th, and 9th. And there is also an eye examination requirement for kindergartners for the first time in Illinois. And that is due by October 15th. The next slide. Immunization for preschoolers. You must demonstrate proof of receiving the 3 doses of DTP and DTAP. Also, students entering preschool and kindergarten must have proof of 3 or more of the polio doses and the 4th dose on or after their 4th birthday. All students entering kindergarten or first entry of school beginning 1st grade must show proof of receiving 4 or more doses of the DTP, with the last dose being the booster received after their 4th birthday. All students entering kindergarten 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th grade through 12th must show proof of receiving 2 doses of the chickenpox and the measles, mumps, rubella combo shot. Then the next slide. All students entering 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th must show proof of receiving the meningitis vaccine. All students entering 12th grade must show proof of receiving 2 doses of the meningitis vaccine unless the first dose was given after the age of 16. All students entering grades 6 through 11 must show proof of receiving 1 dose of the DAP vaccine. And students entering 6th through 12th grade need 3 doses of the hepatitis B vaccine. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Could we go back to the immunization requirements? Could you please, for the community watching,
Sure.
could you please tell us what the acronyms DTP / DTA?
How about phone a friend?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. Miss Dobbs isn't here, and so Diana's filling in right now. What we can do is moving forward, we can put those in parentheses so that it is very clear. I know DDP is diphtheria, but I don't remember the rest. And say again.
Yeah, so diphtheria,
Yeah.
tetanus, and pertussis vaccine.
Yes. So I can't remember all of them either, and I don't want to misquote, but I knew the first one was diphtheria just from having my own children vaccinated. But we will definitely do that. Thank you for that suggestion because it'll be helpful to clear that up for people. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next component here is staffing. Last week I started meeting with principals to go over their staffing, exactly how many teachers are in each building, more towards the lens of organizational effectiveness, but also looking to see what are the vacancies out there. And in my initial conversations thus far, it seems that we're doing a really good job in staffing. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Trevino that can expound on this. And what you're going to see is the school, the percentage of people that are hired, and if it's vacant, what is it? So, Ms. Trevino?
Yes, so I don't want to read the slide if that's not what you want, but if there's any questions, please stop me along the way. What Ms. Placencia stated is correct. There are current vacancies that you can see on the right column with the first number stating the total number of vacancies, and in parentheses, a breakdown of those vacancies. We do want to note that there are those TBAs that you noticed on the agenda items that have not yet been assigned that will go into these numbers here.
And in speaking with Mr. Figueroa earlier, because as we see Clearview and Benny, we could see their percentage is a bit lower than some that are in the 90%, that there's an intentional focus to ensure that we're focusing on those schools that have a lower percentage of staff that has been appointed or hired. So he is aware of that. I'd like you to more talk about the factors diminishing the vacancies. So if we could just click through the schools so the board can see that and our community, and we could spend some time there.
I think we need to keep going, Lee. Yep.
Keep going. There you go. Go ahead, Ms. Trevino.
All right, so the factors diminishing vacancies as we move forward, international teachers by category. Bilingual, we have 20 plus awaiting placement. Diverse learners as well, 20 plus. Math, single digits. I think what Mr. Figueroa meant by this was that there are very few vacancies left to fill for math, some of which those TBAs will be able to fill, and we hope to have a solid math team. Elementary, single digits as well. Physical education, also single digits. Other areas that include psychology, social workers, and nurses are at 10 plus, but there are some TBAs coming in to fill those areas as well.
Next slide.
Thank you. Here you can see a breakdown of the anticipated new international teachers for this upcoming school year. From Spain, we have 20, Puerto Rico, 1, and Philippines, 47. Although Puerto Rico is not considered international, their licenses are reciprocal to Illinois. And we also have ISB partnering with the Medina Ramos Group for teachers from Mexico, and we hope to have some in the future, near future, from there as well.
Next slide, Lee.
Recruitment and onboarding continues. We never stop. We are the face of the district everywhere we go. There are constant recruitment initiatives at the Lake County level and the Cook County level surrounding HBCUs. And also, we are constantly reviewing our school staffing levels through our superintendent's request and reporting to the board. We also have an ongoing substitute teacher activation, which includes retirees, so we personally reach out to them with a form. that they can fill out with their interest. And we have seen a lot of our retirees sign up already.
Great news. At this time, we like to cover safety. We'll ask our Director of Safety, Mr. Wilson, to come up for this part of the presentation.
Good evening. This year we have some safety upgrades and initiatives that we're going to start. As you can see on the slide, we have some additional upgrades at various schools, Clearview, Brookside, Washington campus. We're getting a new comprehensive school threat assessment guide, which will be to identify threat assessment and protocols, and that'll be rolled out to all staff. We're going to do an anti-vaping campaign. We'll partner with internal groups within the district and some outside agencies as well. Current staffing, we have 86 positions. We have 11 vacancies. 4 of those were filled today through interviews. We'll be interviewing the rest of this week and next week to fill the additional vacancies. Some of the training we'll be having is ALICE training, bomb threat, CPI refresher, cultural competence, racial bias, de-escalation training, and this year we'll be doing diversity, equity, and inclusion practices, staff to staff, and mutual respect training, CPR refreshers. I think that's it. If you have any questions.
Oh, if you're opening up.
Yeah, not yet, Darryl. At the end, we're holding questions to the end.
Is it the end of his
Good.
safety?
Sorry.
Well,
I'm done then.
As we go down.
No, they're here. They're not leaving. Everyone's staying for questions at the end. We got questions at the end.
No,
So
I
if you
think,
just,
Deputy Cesario, you've been doing questions like this, Hannah. I'm thinking we could do each section.
if you want to do it now,
well,
that's
then
fine.
we're going to backtrack. But
Yeah.
never mind.
So
Yeah,
let's hold to the
hold
end.
to the end.
We'll hold to the end then. Okay.
Okay.
Our next overview will be on capital improvements that have been done over the summer.
The updates for the summer 2024 capital improvements are slated to be completed by the start of school year or the fall of 2024. Brookside campus is the roof project that's on their way and moving along very nicely. The window replacements are for the interior windows, the window replacement in the main gym at Brookside campus, and the much anticipated pump for the school pool. It's in the process of being filled right now, and it'll be online and operational by end of this week. Washington campus, parking lot on the east side. There's a ton of repairs in concrete in numerous places. Repair around the tunnel, repair on the east side. There's also a repair and a demolition and for an ADA ramp in the dog pound area. AOEC is classroom renovation and a window replacement for late August. This is because we're awaiting a shipping date for the windows themselves. Cook had an HVAC upgrade in the early spring. Clark is getting a new ADA boys bathroom in the main level. Hyde Park is a new / remodeled main office area and a secured vestibule. North is getting a parking lot to begin once ComEd relocates the utility pole. That'll allow for a new drop-off area and staff parking. Oakdale will get the new greenhouse coming online early fall. The Lightfoot is a new multi-purpose gym floor. Thank you.
Brian, can
Yes.
we go back to that slide, please? Capital improvements. I'd like to get it over with. All of the building improvements that
Sure.
you mentioned, right?
Yeah, I did.
Are they all completed?
Currently, they're not all completed. They're projected to be done start of school. There's some on that list that I mentioned that will be in the fall because they haven't been started yet. Like, for example, the greenhouse.
Okay, but like the massive roof on Brookside.
The what?
The Brookside roof.
Oh, the roof at Brookside campus?
Yeah.
It's scheduled to be completed, yes.
By August 12th?
That's scheduled to be completed by August 12th.
Okay, good. And the AOEC classroom renovations and replacement.
Ms. Hannah, can you speak into the microphone so that the public can hear you? Thank you.
The AOEC renovations and window replacements.
Sure, the classroom with AOEC replacement, or the classroom renovation is in process. It will be done by start of school. The window replacement is sometime in August because that's what I stated. They're awaiting shipment from the vendor themselves.
Okay.
Our next component is transportation and child nutrition, and if Ms. Williams is gone, I can handle this. Just go ahead. Oh, okay. Another reason for this is so that people can put a name with a face on who's leading these endeavors. So Ms. Williams is over transportation and nutrition.
So I'm giving an update, correct?
That's it.
Okay, we are, I have to run up here, sorry. We are currently working on our bus routes. We're anticipating mailing letters out the August 1st through the 5th. We are working on new software as well. That should be a little bit more accurate with busing, so we're excited about that. The app, catch my breath, because of all the changes that we have in August, we usually don't launch it until after Labor Day so that the routes are steady. So that's why that's not starting until September. Okay, the school lunch menus are already up there. If you go on our website and click on the child nutrition tab, you have to switch over to next month and you'll see August.
And we're still using the same
Food service vendor?
food service
Yes, we are.
provider
Yes.
With our concerns and everything that we had before they've all been addressed. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
And our last component of this is professional development for our staff. We're going to be looking at Great Beginnings, how we will be developing our substitutes and providing them supports. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Dr. Cesario to close us out.
You are doing great. So, good evening, board president, superintendent, members of the board, members of the community, and colleagues. So yes, we have Great Beginnings that will start Wednesday, July 31st. That is for our new staff members as well as our long-term subs. That'll run through Tuesday, August 6th. You can see here that it is defined by pre-K, K-5, middle school, and then high school. So they all have their own focus. And this is the primary focus here is on Tier 1 implementation. Tier 1 being the core of the curriculum, focusing on SEL and the academic programming. Then moving into the latter part of the week, on August 7th, we start with our Staff Institute and Professional Development Days. So that's on Wednesday and Thursday of that week, Wednesday the 7th, and Thursday the 8th. And so the top part of the day, or the beginning of the day, is we see that it's building leadership based, principal and ILT directed, and at the school sites, and then across the district with department leads that happens in various locations, Lincoln Center, the Welcome Center, and a combination of in throughout the schools across the district. And then on Wednesday, there's contractual time for our teachers and paras to prep. And then on Thursday afternoon, there are mandatory, there's defined time for folks to take the mandatory training videos. These videos include trainings, rather, that are in the form of videos, mandated reporter, trauma-informed practices. So those are just a couple, but this provides our teachers and our staff members with some time to take those, because there are many requirements by the state and federal government that we have to fulfill before the year starts. So this just provides some time. And then moving into Friday in the morning, there'll be a kickoff at the Genesee Theater. We will have a guest speaker, Miss Tracy White-Wheaton, who has affiliated with the Illinois Literacy Coalition, and will speak about the work that we're doing around the science of reading, the importance of reading across the curriculum, as well as across the grade bands. So she's very dynamic, and looking forward to that. And then in the afternoon, we have it broken up by elementary, middle, and high school. And so there's different trainings based on different categories there. So that really takes us through the next week there. Thank you.
Oh, substitute? Sorry.
Pardon?
The substitute training slide?
Really interested in that.
Okay, that was new. So I didn't have that slide here. Thanks for pointing that out. So part of what we're doing and working with the, so in the last year, we did add our long-term subs to our Great Beginning so that they were familiarized and provided them with some training. Additionally, we've also heard the feedback that subs need more support. So one of the things that our area superintendents are doing are working to create sub guides. Simply put, when you walk into a building and you're a sub, here's a folder that has the basics. Where's the bathroom? Where are the exits? Here's a map of the building. Here's where you eat lunch. Here's when you eat lunch. Things of that nature that we may take for granted. We want to make sure our subs come and that they stay and that they feel comfortable. After all, they're taking care of our children. And so you'll see some of those items are up there. And so we're building off of that. And that's something, again, that the area superintendents are doing with our principals, working on that so that we can make sure that we have sub-plans. And then we have the other items here, just the basics. Making sure that people are comfortable when they walk into a building. So that's something that we're in the midst of working on right now. Thank you.
Ms. Lindsay?
So I have quite a few, but if it makes sense to go category by category for the board, I can definitely hold some of my other things. So I'll just start with the important dates. And I think this is, sorry if I wasn't in the microphone, this is something that I think that as a larger community, we could be doing better about in communicating with our other governmental bodies, because on the same day of our resource kickoff fair, the township is also hosting a really fun event as well. So I'm hoping that families are able to attend both. They align around the same time, but just to have that communication to make sure that people can enjoy multiple things. And it's not just the school district that I want to communicate, even with like the park district and organizing Scoop, the loop, Scoop and Walking, whatever we're supposed to call it now. Like there were still overlapping situations. So I think that's something that as a community we could be doing better about. I do want to thank these schools that are hosting their meet and greets in the evening, because we are a working community. We want those to be accessible by our parents. My request, superintendent, is that we get those dates on the district calendar, because they're not. So families have multiple children that can be going to multiple schools, so having one spot to go to is very beneficial for them. And then I'm just scrolling through super fast. Okay, and then that's it, I think, for that section, so I will hold off. Oh, sorry, and is that going to be available in Spanish, the whole presentation? Yes. Okay.
We could put subtitles to that, but yes.
Okay.
On the important dates, I am really saddened that I'm going to miss, for the first time ever, the back to school kickoff, because that's something that's been very near and dear to me. And
You actually started it.
Yeah. So it's been a project that I fully enjoyed, and to watch it like grow every year. So, but I have my child graduating, so I'm excited for that. So I will not see you. So if you don't see me, it's not that I'm, don't care. I absolutely do, and that's one of my favorite events. And so I do hope that families take advantage. But I also want to remind families that when you can't attend these events and there are resources being given away, to contact your schools and see how you can still receive those resources, because those backpacks and school supplies are, we still have some left over at the end of the fair that can still be handed out to you all, and other resources in addition to that. The other question I want to ask, because it's kind of combined with the health requirements, is, are we going to have a vaccine clinic at this year's fair in order to help with all of those requirements? Do we know?
I don't know if we're having a vaccine clinic at the resource fair off the top of my head. I'd have to circle back. I'd have to
We've had
circle
them in the
back.
past.
I know you have in the
I just
past. I
wanted-
don't know. I don't remember seeing it. I'm just looking at but in my head, I could be mistaken, so let me circle back on that.
All right, next section.
That was the schedules and the class assignments.
Any questions on that?
The student pickup for schedules for the high schools.
So it's not going to be a pickup. It's going to be on Infinite Campus, so they can just log in on their Chromebook and get their schedules. And we're going to send out text messages, emails, so students and families know how to access that. We may even issue a robocall too. So there'll be multiple ways that we inform families. But kids will have access to that.
And they're on it.
Next session is school supplies. I would just ask that if we can add the URL, shout out to Mr. Christensen for having the URL, because when they're in these board docs, you can just copy and paste instead of pulling out your phone to take a picture. If you're accessing it on your phone, it's hard to get a second phone to access the QR code. So if we could add that in, that would be helpful.
Wait,
Oh,
let
yeah.
me add a question with the school supplies.
Mhm.
Are they still being published, put physically in Walmart
And Jewel
and Jewel Lasco?
The stores.
The stores.
I have to
because
circle
we
back
used to-
with you. I
That-
have to circle back with you on that,
was
Ms.
real
Hannah.
helpful to many
Yeah, that I'm not sure of, but I can check into that.
What I will say is kudos, because for the first time in the history of times, as I've been on this board and have been talking about it, we have a universal supply list. The only, the only nitpick.
Not the first time.
Well,
It
not
worked
the
out.
first
I
time
know.
ever, but it's sporadic and it changes, because
Yeah.
when you go in there, certain schools would go and then add their little things to
New
their
one, like,
specific
I
schools.
know that was a-
So I am happy that we have a universal supply list. That helps for two
Yes.
reasons. There are individuals that want to help support students and cover supplies. There are parents that have to shop at multiple schools. And so having a universal list makes it very easy for those community members that want to support. It also makes it equitable for families, because why does one family have to spend $120 on supplies and another family have to spend 10?
Yeah.
And it's not even a critique. Some schools are blessing parents by purchasing supplies. They should let parents know that.
Yes.
Because parents will buy supplies thinking
Yes.
that the school is not, and then they show up and it's like, oh, cool, supplies are here. But again, if we are making that decision for families, and I know that was SBB, a lot of principals wanted to do that. And then also with book bags and things like that, then how do you prioritize sometimes the students that are not getting supplies provided for. So great step in the right direction. I love that it's out. I love that it's public. I love that it's accessible. I love that it's universal. That's my only thing is I know some schools are purchasing them. They should be letting parents know so that parents are not purchasing supplies unnecessarily.
I'm going to add on to that, Board President, only because if your student is attending a school that the supplies are given, if you have the means, which I understand not everybody does, but if you have the means and the inclination, check with your classroom teacher. Maybe there's something that they could also use in their classroom so that you can help support in that way.
Yeah, just, and we have, we don't have any of the supplies in our warehouses, right? Where we could use them too.
So when you say supplies, you mean student supplies?
Student supplies, yes.
I'm sure we have supplies in our warehouse. I mean, they were packing book bags for the resource fair, et cetera, but we're getting those all out at our resource fair. So if the question is, do we have supplies right now? Yes, we're holding them because we have our fair this Saturday.
Right, and nothing, now I get that, but all of the supplies are being utilized.
So if we don't, hypothetically, if we had 10,000 book bags and we only gave 5,000 away, we'd have to house the 5,000. But what we do after that, well, I want to make sure I'm answering the question, right? Because if I say no, and then those book bags go back there, then I don't want, to mislead that I'm saying we're giving away. But those book bags will be redirected to schools so that schools can pass them out.
And the other ones, any supplies that are there can be ordered by the principal, I guess, is what you're getting at, right?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we have utilized everything in our warehouses, that's all.
Nope, I understand that.
So, great point. Next section.
Next section is student registration. Again, thank you, Mr. Christensen. I do have a couple of questions. The 9th grade students and 6th grade students, they are required to provide proof of residency. Can you explain the source behind that requirement? And then because we have families watching, can you list some examples of what proofs they can provide to qualify for that?
Yes. So in the past, this district required everybody prove residency every single year, and we blocked them from starting the first day of school unless they proved residency. We have now switched that to entering middle school and entering high school, where they provide 2 proofs of residency, the same as when they enter the district. They enter middle school and they enter high school. So that is just to make sure that they reside within our boundaries and that they're either the homeowner and their taxes go to Waukegan School District, or the residents there and their landlord's taxes go to Waukegan School District. So it's very important that we have students here. We have residency officers that go and investigate various points, various recommendations and referrals that they get. They'll go through and do that. But we do that going into 6th grade, going into 9th grade. The requirements are the same no matter what level you're through. A current gas bill, electric bill, water bill. So any of those 3 utility bills.
Within 90 days.
Within 90 days, yes.
That's what we're talking about when we say current.
Yes, current is this month, last month, and the month before to kind of go in and through that. The other thing is, of course, your mortgage paper that you own the home or a lease that you have that. The lease might not be current because if once a lease expires, it goes year to year. So that's why we have the second proof. So you may have a lease that's a couple years old because you haven't got a new lease. Congratulations, your rent stayed the same. That's unusual, but good for you. And then we'll put in the other bill. And then we also take a state of Illinois ID card, so driver's license card, ID card, and the TVDL, which is now becoming the driver's license. So that's all in and of the same thing as of this point.
And then I just want to say congratulations, because I've seen your number increase year after year, and I know that's a very difficult thing to do, is get everybody on parent portal and registering during that window. So I just wanted to highlight that and thank you for the work that you do. And then the other question is, for families that don't have access to internet, for this registration appointment, are there any walk-in dates that families can come in, or if they call in, are they able to do an appointment that way?
Yes, so we've got the new appointment system that we started last year. As we're going through, it goes pretty well. So it's online, but you can call. If you call, we'll set you up with the time. And if you show up to the Welcome Center, we've got iPad kiosks right there that will go in and get you a time. So I'm very happy that in the past, you may remember, there'd be families that would show up at 8 a.m. and we have a line of 200 people at 8 a.m. and they would be there all day long camping out. And so now you show up, you can get an iPad and we can say, we've got a slot for you at 10:20 or at 2:10, and you know what time you can come back and be seen within 20 minutes, a half hour of that, instead of waiting all day for it.
Sorry, and with new student registration, just to add on it, because I had beef with this, you have to bring the physical copy of a birth certificate.
Yes.
Yes. So I had issues with it. I understand the logic.
State law.
It's state law. I get it. But just to make sure people bring the physical copy with you, they have to feel that seal.
Yes.
Sorry, that's my personal experience.
Thank you. Yes, it's Illinois state law. It's the actually the Missing Children's Act. So a non-custodial parent or somebody who shouldn't have custody of a child can't get the official birth certificate. So it's a step to make sure that it's a legal parent, legal guardian.
Now that's just for new incoming.
Brand new incoming, first time you're in Waukegan schools.
Okay.
All right. Next,
Health requirements is next.
and for that section, because the head nurse is not here, there was a request if we could put those in writing and she can get a response.
Okay, beautiful. So then on to staffing.
Yep. Any questions from any board members related to staffing? Next.
Next is safety. I have a couple of this. And Miss Director Wilson, if you're still in the building, as he's coming to the podium, so I serve on the safety committee, and I just want to give Director Wilson his flowers because it was a concern that Miss Hannah was a big proponent to make sure we had discussions around. And when the committee brought up to Director Wilson that we do want to talk about anti-vaping and education around that, you did, Director Wilson, an amazing job taking the feedback and taking our concerns seriously and organizing to get something put into place. So I wanted to formally thank you for that, because this is something that Ms. Hannah, as well as many board members, as well as our community, is very focused on. So I appreciate the timeline and the turnaround that you took to get that done.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Ms. Fabian.
So,
Don't go anywhere,
yeah.
Ms.
I don't want him to
Director
leave.
Wilson. I can't talk.
Mr. Wilson,
We're not done.
Yeah. And I do have some questions, but
Good.
I'll hold them to the end.
Who's next?
me.
Well, Ms. Fabian. and then-
Yeah.
So just really quick, I'm looking at the new CAS system, and it says that it is a pilot program for the high school campuses. Does that mean then it's going to trickle down to middle school, potentially elementary school if it works?
Yes.
Okay. And then one other question is just that de-escalation training. I love that obviously our safety staff has that, but is there a potential that we could also give that to, our frontline, our office staff? Because those are the first people that the community sees, that parents see. And usually when, community and parents are coming to the building, it's usually because of an issue, right? You don't generally have to come to the building. So just wondering if there's an opportunity for the safety department to kind of cross-train also our front office
I
staff.
can respond to that. So there will be intentional professional development for all of our secretarial staff, our WIP staff in the district this year. We're creating a development plan. So the reason I jumped in, Mr. Wilson, he won't oversee that, but it will be coming through Mr. Moulton's division.
Thank you.
Ms. Hannah and then Ms. Lanza.
Okay, just one question. Are we, do we have a plan? do we have a plan to combat the smoking in the school? I understand the vaping, okay, but just smoking, seeing how it is now a state law that no one is supposed to be smoking in public buildings.
Yes, Ms. Hannah, at the end of the year, we began to do some random backpack checks. I wish I had brought the box. We had a box this big full of vape pens. So it was productive. So yes, we will continue that going into next year as well.
And I just want to expound for clarity. If a student is found smoking at school, there are consequences related to that.
Yes.
Got it. Yeah, so I love to see, as Ms. Lindsay talked about, the proactive, right, outreach that we can do at the start of the year. But to Ms. Hannah's point, there's also consequences for smoking in schools.
Yes.
Got it. Go ahead, Ms. Lindsay.
And then I just also want to layer on more kudos, because when we talk about safety, there's physical safety, but then there's also emotional safety, mental safety. And a lot of these trainings that you're putting on for your staff, to include the de-escalation, to include the conflict management, which I'm really excited to see. Like, it makes me very happy to the point of tears. The cultural competency and racial bias, these aspects, the DE&I efforts, right? I know some corporate companies are moving away from DE&I, and to me that signals performative measures on their parts. DE&I, we've received criticism either individually from people in the community not necessarily tied to the school district. We've even had it at the podium that it's not fruitful. But I want to thank you, because it is required in order to progress as a society, and we're not being performative about it. So I just want to thank you that these components are in your safety trainings.
You're welcome.
My only comment is more so to the superintendent, because she is, I think that's more directly, appropriately pointed. But I still want to see the report on the percentage of staff members that have received the de-escalation training, or at least the verbal CPI. And I do want to make sure that any staff members who want the CPI hold a physical restraint, that they also have that opportunity. That was when we talked about the zero tolerance policy, where we settled and we decided was that, hey, we keep having these student and staff member interactions, right? It's not okay for our students to put hands on staff members. It's also not okay for our staff to put hands on students in a harmful way. And so our staff asks for training. And so my expectation, Superintendent Dr. Cesario, as part of the PD plan, is that we create and we track and monitor what percentage of our staff with the goal of 100% training. And we talked about that not just for CPI and de-escalation, but we also talked about it in regards to mental health first aid. So I'm glad to see that your department is moving forward with making sure that everybody receives that adequate training. Like we talked about with the staff in the office, I want to see it expand to the cafeteria. I want to see it expand to the custodians, to anybody that's in that building that's interacting with our students. Is because when they see something, right, our expectation, we go, the bystander effect. Why'd you just stand there? Well, if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel like you know what to do, you're not going to intervene, and that can be harmful to those individuals. It can also be harmful to our students. So excited to see that moving forward. But as we look at safety outside of what is Director Wilson's purview, I would want to see that expanded. So I just wanted to call that out.
Noted.
And I just have to say that that I'm going to continue to harp and talk about that de-escalation two-part session that I attended at ALAS, and that it was one of the most meaningful and very helpful sessions, and it was clearly about de-escalation, and it was the reciprocal student on staff, staff on students, and our district could probably be ahead of the game if we could have gotten the lady that did that, because I hear people talking about certification and monitoring. Well, she was doing that. She was giving, once a staff member completed the 2 sessions, they received actual certifications in de-escalation training.
Yes. Ms. Anna, I did reach out to the name that you provided me. I have not received a response yet.
Really? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions related
Wait.
to this one? Yep.
Yeah, I have a question. About the random bag checks, are they just gonna be for the high schools, or are they also gonna include the middle schools?
They will also be at the middle schools.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great question.
Capital improvements?
Yes. And then, yes, thank you, Mr. Briner. I just want to be really explicit with the roof at Brookside campus. So it's scheduled to be done by August 12th. Where are we in the timeline? Are we behind schedule, on schedule, or ahead of schedule?
So to the point, for clarification purposes, I stated that the roof will be done by, or the roof will be complete by start of school. There is another facet to it, is to getting all the equipment off the roof, and then all of the sheet metal that needs to go on the edges. So that will continue, but the roof, I would imagine your comment, Ms. Hannah, is in relation to the disruption in this, excuse me, in the classrooms. That is supposed to be all complete, but there is the other facet of getting the equipment off the roof and then doing the sheet metal work that I don't think will be a disruption.
Okay, so.
But if it is, we'll address that accordingly and then let you know.
Okay, to
Which means
reiterate my question, are we behind, on, or ahead of schedule with the target date of August 12th for the construction component?
Sure.
Not including removal equipment and the,
We're on schedule.
yeah. Okay.
And do we have, is it in the contract, Mr. Briner, that project completion date? Are we working on that? And if not, I'm gonna be expecting to see some type of compensation that's going to be returned back to us if the contractors are not on time with the project completion, because that's always been involved in any kind of project, a completion time. And if it was not completed on time, there would be some consequences.
Sure. I will have to get back to you on that statement. I do not know within the contract those terms. So I will get back to you and address that concern that you have.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So along the lines of DEI, I really push for DEIA, which is accessibility. We forget that's another group of people, or there are other sets of people that face barriers every day. And so I'm looking at Clark and how we're getting a new handicap boys bathroom in the main entrance. My understanding that is for a specific student. But we are public school buildings, and so my feeling is that we should be accessible and prepared to receive students ahead of time. And you know, I know myself, I became temporarily handicapped, right? Things can happen where all of a sudden you can't move the way that you used to. So we want to make sure that our schools are accessible especially when kids are involved because they often hurt themselves and need some more accessibility features. Do we have, or have we looked at all of our schools to see who else is lacking accessibility? Or is there
Are you
a
talking
thought
about
process
ADA?
for that? Yes.
So I don't believe, well, no, I know that Mr. Briner's not prepared to answer that question right now, but we can come back with what schools we have concerns with ADA accessibility.
Sorry. I just have a follow-up because I'm glad you brought that up because I had it noted as well. So this is for general counsel. Ms. Vanderbroek, what legal ramifications do we face by having non-ADA compliant buildings?
And they all should be ADA.
It all
Well, that's my
depends-
understanding.
It all depends on the age of the building.
Okay.
And whether we've done enough construction, new construction in any particular building that would require that we make all or a portion of the building accessible at that time of that new construction.
Okay.
So it's going to vary building by building. We have a lot of old buildings that may not meet some of the requirements, plus the standards have changed over time.
Right.
So it's not a simple analysis. There's a lot of different component parts to it to be able to fully answer that question. But from a student perspective, it is being able to, when we have kids with disabilities that need accessibility assistance, ensuring that we are able to provide that assistance, which may be through humans, it might be through equipment, it may be through assigning to a building that has the accessibility to it to promote them accessing it independently.
Okay. Are we able to fold into what the superintendent's going to provide us as a follow-up, the buildings that, due to the construction and everything you explained, don't require ADA?
I can get that
updates?
report for you.
Okay.
I
If
can
we
pull
can
that
fold
in.
that into it, that to me would make it complete.
Yeah, because I was under the impression that whenever the buildings are worked on and they have to be brought up into compliance with ADA.
It's going to depend on the nature of the work. If we're just repairing, well, let me put it,
Replacing
if
the
we're
floor.
repairing a door frame, we're going to make that door frame ADA
ADA,
accessible.
right.
But if we're
Right.
just replacing a floor, we wouldn't be looking at ADA
No,
accessibility.
I know that.
So it all depends on the nature of the work. If it's a substantial amount of work that's going to impact hallways, doorways,
Bathrooms.
parking lots, curbs, right, bathrooms, those kinds of things. It may be one wing and not the whole building, so you're making that part of the building compliant.
So,
It sounds like we're on the same page.
yeah. So the other add-on to that was also, as we're looking at that, to also be looking at grant funds on how we can improve these facilities, because there are a lot of there's a lot of grant funding out there to make our schools more accessible. So just if we can be mindful of that as well.
And we are looking at that. I believe Mr. Moulton mentioned previously that we went out for a window grant, right? We didn't get it, but we are constantly look for how we can get grants for upgrades within our facilities.
And since we're giving kudos, and I just want to be aware of the time, the fact that we have our 10-year plan, which is now in year 4, maybe, it does allow for us to go for those grants, because we are not guessing about what needs to be done. We literally go to the next item on the list. That's how we were able to get some of the bathrooms done, is because we had them on the list and we found some money for it. It's also how I got a line item for our parking lots. So having those things readily available is, as we act as advocates for the district, knowing what's on that list when we're talking to our legislators, it gives us an opportunity to get in, put that bug in their ear. Because I want to, again, kudos to our operations and finance team who lobbied in order for schools to be included in the Illinois capital improvement plan, where that to date, roads, bridges, that type of thing, nobody was saying anything about schools. So last section was, no, transportation.
Yeah, the next one. To Ms. Hannah's point, and this is not on Ms. Williams, but I am sad that we don't have the app that we were promised. So as we go into, not this school year, because we have to have food services, we as a board look for what happens in school year 2025, 2026. Hold the businesses accountable. So if we can move to a outcomes-based contracting model as we go forward, that will help us in these situations ensure that we are receiving the goods and services that we were promised and are paying for.
Because I'm wondering now that you say that, did we pay for that?
So
It was a component of the service, and for me, that was one of the driving reasons why I said yes to Dexo. There's a bunch of legal issues that Board Member Gonzalez had brought up that also brought me concern, and so there was some weighing of the options, and there was discussion around that and clarifications made around that. But one of the driving reasons, as a parent who did not take advantage of school lunch because I had concerns, was something I was looking forward to, and that's not being delivered. So in terms of like, we're paying for it in the total cost, not, I don't believe is a specific line item.
Awesome. Are there any other questions on this item? All right, we do have the FOIA report.
Can I just make one last comment?
Ask a question on the last one.
I want to make one last comment. We will be giving an update on our Black Male Initiative at our next meeting, August 13th.
Sorry, go ahead, Superintendent, because there was some crosstalk.
I'm sorry. I just stated that we will be giving an update on our Black Male Initiative at our next board meeting, scheduled August 13th.
Thank you.
And then I had a question
Go
on
ahead.
the professional development for the substitute training. I just want to know, are substitutes, are they getting paid for that day? Like, how are we encouraging long-term subs to join in on that day?
We did pay them last year, and the expectation is that we would pay them again.
Perfect. And then are we actively reaching out to them to ensure that they're,
They're
coming?
gonna-
Because I know that's not part of
Yeah,
like,
they're
their
going to get
actual contract.
information. Last year, I believe a letter and some calls went out, so
Perfect,
all of
thank
that's
you.
going to be rolling out through teaching and learning.
Ms. Lindsay?
Sorry, Dr. Cesario, don't go too far. So I did see that there was some overlap, and because our long-term subs are being folded into those trainings, and we do have substitutes like Ms. Briscoe who go across grade levels, is it the intent that a long-term sub that can support elementary schools and middle schools and high schools be able to attend the specific training schedule you have?
So those long-term subs already have an assignment in one of those areas.
Okay.
That's hence the term the long-term, because they're already
Beautiful.
assigned.
Okay,
right?
great.
For the subs, it's a little different because, I know that it was asked, and this can be a longer answer and a long discussion if we wanted it to be, but with subs, it's day to day.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to kind of pinpoint that. We're not inviting subs to this because, A, we don't know who's going to be where and when they're going to be there. The focus has been on really trying to get those guides. That's what we're kind of calling them right now.
Okay.
Just having a folder with information there and having lesson plans, like emergency lesson plans ready. And that is, that's the best that we can ask for at this time.
I'm just, Superintendent, I'm just going to make a request if it's not feasible this year, but, Ms. Briscoe is an example of a substitute while she's not in a long-term sub position for a classroom, continuously supports within the district across multiple grade levels. So if we have individuals who are consistent substitutes, to maybe offer them an opportunity to be folded into that schedule. So that's something that I would like to be looked into.
Can I just add something?
Sure.
Here, Ms. Lansing? So, Dr. Cesario, what I'm hearing from Ms. Lansing is what are the supports we're giving to our day-to-day subs versus our long-term subs, right? So those day-to-day. You don't need to answer that now. I think it's a question to think about, but That's the area.
I think it's, and again, I said this can be a lengthier discussion, but you can give them an overview of here, this is what it is. I don't know how beneficial, and again, you may think it is, and we can talk about it later. I don't know how beneficial it would be to attend an all-day session on one particular program if she's here at the high school one day, at the middle school another day. I think having access to it through emergency lesson plans and having an understanding of what the protocols, what are the practices in the school would probably be much more beneficial. And so, but happy to look into it.
It's actually on your slide. So if you guys go back to the substitute training, it says frontline training for all substitutes. So not just long-term subs. There's a list there of all of the different resources and supports that subs are getting.
Yeah, so the source that it would be there, but to have the expectation that they would understand the curriculum as well as somebody who's using it every day, I don't think is a realistic expectation, nor do I want to put that out there. So that's all.
Okay, just speaking of a past substitute teacher, right? It was so frustrating for me to not know anything. Just go into the classroom, and I got lesson plans from the teacher, right? But then, luckily, I knew how to manage the students already, right? But there are some substitutes that don't know how to do that day to day.
Right.
And so I'm just saying that, yeah, all of that's a wonderful thing.
Yep.
That you're doing that for all the substitutes, and you're doing a manual, you say?
Yeah, and that's one of the things. I was also a substitute teacher after I got out for 6 months, and yes, so when the teacher was organized and had everything ready and the school welcomed you, was quite different than when you walk in and where do I go? And so I think that's the focus, but also having exposure to the materials, having access to them without having the, to go too deep.
And letting the substitutes know or get a feel for what the teachers are teaching, so that they're not just in there,
right?
Just all the way out there. Okay, those students today we're going to do da 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 da. But
that gives me another idea. We could talk to the team about offering workshops throughout the year, and that's something else that we can do about, like, how do I interact with students? You mentioned the de-escalation training. I think having those things ongoing is something that we can also look at, so people can drop in. I know the DL department is working on that as well on certain topics, so they're standing professional development, whether it's 3 or 10 or whatever. Those are opportunities that are there. I think that's something else we can explore. Again, we're building on this. These are things that didn't exist before, and we're building on this. I think we're getting better year after year. It just takes a little time because there are a lot of initiatives moving right now. And so we don't want to overtax the principals or the teachers, but we want to make sure we're addressing the areas of need. So yes, they're all great ideas. Correct. Those are those are things that we can do internally at certain times of the month that wouldn't cost us very much. Holding those trainings, if we have our own people doing it, wouldn't really cost very much. De-escalation, mental health toolkits is a little bit different because we do have to contract, and that there is a cost there. But some of the other pieces, like what do I do as a day-to-day sub, we have a lot of experienced teachers, existing, former principals, whomever. We can have a rotating staff of people, and it gives those folks an opportunity to build their capacity as well.
And
so
all that does, Dr. Cesario, is to possibly give people a bird's eye.
yes, most definitely.
And who knows, you may be picking up new teachers.
That's correct. Yes. It's a recruitment strategy, most definitely. Continuous education, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Ms. Lindsay?
I just had 2 quick points that are still tied to this. So I'm just going to encourage the principals to make sure you greet all of your substitutes. Just make sure you say hi, make them feel welcome. That adds to the overall school climate. And then I also want to see if this is possible, Superintendent. So we're going to have new teachers in our building, and one of the constant feedback conversations I have with individuals is that there's not enough time to set up the classroom, especially when they're a new teacher in the district, or they're new to that room, or they're new to that building. So I'm wondering if we can have a volunteer opportunity. We can engage JROTC because they have community service components. We can engage other high school students that are interested in community service to possibly volunteer to help those teachers set up their classroom. Just to be, the teacher can kind of say, hey, can you staple this paper up on this board and put the border on it, and I'll do this over here, and kind of coordinate in that way. I think because it is such a tight timeline right before the school year, and we're asking a lot of our staff, I think that would provide some relief, is to get some student volunteers to support our teachers setting up classrooms.
It's a good idea.
Okay.
Love
Thank
that
you.
idea. And then just a reminder for principals is because I know some buildings aren't currently open, so maybe they don't know that they can go in. Now. So some of the janitors, not some, the janitors are there, and as long as their principal gives them the okay, they can start
Yeah,
in the classroom. Right now, I know that many teachers have already started going back into the classroom this week.
And I think LeBaron's
next week, right?
Yeah, and I think LeBaron's working on a list of schools that people can actually go into. Some can, some can't because of what's going on. So,
And I would like to put it out there regarding the beginning of the classroom, that I'm asking the board to have a conversation about the start date of school, not for this year, for next year. And I want to, if there's an issue with the calendar committee, I would like to sit on the calendar committee, because our summer is still here, and so yeah.
Mr. Mazzani, you said you had a Douglas report.
Yes, just to let the board members know that there are opportunities to get points in for online webinars, and one that really caught my eye is going to be held on August 8th at noon, and that's implementing an effective superintendent evaluation process. That's one. And then the COSPA Federal Advocacy Conference is also coming up, and this is the one that was the duplicate, I think, the one that Ms. Fabian went to under NSBA. But this is for the COSPA, and so I'm going to be looking to attend that, and hopefully I can get another board member to go along. Yeah. That's it, though, Mr. Ewan.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. All right, we had a FOIA report, which has been there. We do have the proclamation due to the time. If it passes, it is there as an attachment, and we can read it at a future time. I want to, for the record, reiterate quick points. Number one, this was generated by students who identify from the community who felt like they were sometimes not supported at school. This is nothing more than reaffirming what the law is, and that we will make sure that we provide a safe space for the students to express themselves. So this does nothing but reinforce and reaffirm the laws of Illinois. It highlights that we will support this group. This was not done because the Board of Education felt or didn't lead this effort, right? This effort was led by our students. We oftentimes say that we want to hear from our students and want them to be involved in the process. This is how we put our slate. I forget the saying. I'm hands where our mouth is. What's the? Oh, where I don't know.
Money
Where our mouth is. There we go.
got it.
Something like that.
Better than our mouth is.
But policy, right? So policy is how the board speaks. So this is just a resolution which identifies in further, very quick points instead of reading the whole thing.
And I know when it was brought up before, I had one question, and I asked about the parent component to this. If there was any kind of feedback from parents.
Yeah, related to this one, I don't think there was any feedback directly from parents. There were parents who, have students who identify with this in the community. But, so where we had that we stand firm in our support of students, continue to do everything with our powers to provide a safe, sound, and thriving atmosphere throughout our school district so no one has to live in fear of being who they are. And 2, the thereof proclaims that every June is Pride Month within the district. I'm talking, isn't it? Yeah, better.
We have a couple conversations. I don't know if you're picking it up there, but Daryl, I don't know, can we, just so that we're not picking up your conversations on the board with it, just be conscious of that, okay?
All right. No, that's it. So we had our thereofs. I think at this point, this was brought forward by a previous student board member, Mr. Hinojosa, and then it also was discussed at 2 previous board meetings, and then it was, what was it? Cleaned up a little bit. We agreed to some different language. So with that, if there are, do we have a motion to approve? You read the recommended action, Superintendent.
So moved. Oh, sorry.
Just read it.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the proclamation LGBTQIAS+ community as presented by administration, having been proposed by the immediate past student board member Victor Hinojosa.
Motion to approve.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Riddle.
Oh.
Second by, who got that in?
Fabian.
Fabian. Any comments, questions?
It should be LGBTQIA2S+ because the 2S is for two-spirited.
Okay.
We'll make that correction.
Thank you.
It is correct
And
at
it
the
is on
top.
the proclamation itself.
I'm just saying
I know,
on
I-
here, we should get
As
it
we
right.
read it wasn't.
And
be
that's
consistent.
understandable, but
Right.
on board docs, it should be corrected.
Correct, right. And only that this, it's really saying that we stand in unwavering support, we could read it, of our students, parents, community, teachers, administrators, and employees within the LGBTQIA2S+ community.
Yep.
And our mission is to provide a safe learning environment and to celebrate our diversity and similarities in a spirit of unity and peace, or unity and respect. And then it goes on, whereas. So, I think all of us support this, and I'd like to see us pass this motion, or this proclamation.
Yeah, I again want to thank Victor Hinojosa that did put a lot of work into this proclamation, and he did reach out to other student groups and collaborated with several individuals to make sure that we're covering various aspects of it. So thank you, Mr. Hinojosa, for your dedication to this proclamation. It's
Right.
greatly appreciated.
And
Roll.
I did see my edits.
I'll second
so
that.
good.
Thank you, Mr. Hinojosa.
Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment that I support it, but I don't think that the proclamation is fine, but I don't think we needed a proclamation to respect our students in terms of their beliefs and whatnot. But at the same time, again, I do support it, but I really don't think that we need a proclamation. And some of the comments I'm hearing to say that we to respect our students. We ought to do that anyway, just out of respect, period. But yes.
Yeah.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
I'm going to pass. I support the children, always have, forever will. However, but there's one component missing. And I asked about that, and apparently it fell on deaf ears, and that was about the parents, because there are people that that I mean, because their religious beliefs and all of that, you know,
State law.
and about the parents. How come the parents were not given input with this? And so,
Ms. Lindsay?
I'm going to vote yes, and it's not a matter of the board needing it, it's a matter of this community, especially when working in the Equity Advisory Committee and serving on the LGBTQIA2S+ subcommittee, that staff and students feel they need, and they have expressed concerns and shared stories. So the fact that we can have this for students when that's being voiced, I think is great. And this is not to say that we are trying to take away parents' rights. Your religious beliefs and what you teach in your home is your business. This is simply saying that school is a safe environment for all.
President Ewing?
Yes, and ditto. Motion approved, proclamation passes. Thank you. All right, so we have 20A, release of closed session minutes from 2021.
It is recommended that the board approve and authorize the superintendent or her designee to release closed session minutes as listed below in the public content section, subject to prior legal review and redaction for continuing confidentiality considerations and the other stipulations set forth below.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
second by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion?
yeah, as I was looking through, these dates. I was missing, I'm missing some dates in 2021. I mean, we did. I don't know. Why did we stop at June?
So it's the fiscal year, July 1 to June 30, that is being released on this one. There are a couple of dates in the spring that
August.
were not included because they were discussions of the superintendent's evaluation. There was nothing else on the agenda, and that is confidential as a matter of law.
Okay, but then, okay. Well, I'm gonna get dates, Kathy, and I will be getting back to you with dates that I believe should be included in these dates
All right,
for
let me know.
approval for release.
Let me know.
Roll call. Well, all in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. All right, approved. And I am sorry, it's fine. Board member time, I'm actually to be brief. We still have to go into closed session. Start with you, Ms. Fabian.
Just real quick for all of those who are new to the district, new teachers, to be on the lookout for the Teachers Foundation grant. You have some time before school starts and it gets hectic to write one. You can email WPSFoundation at WPS60.org for more information.
Ms. Lindsay.
I want to say that I attended the Abbott Summer Celebration of Learning, which was a fabulous event. Those middle schoolers are just amazing. They were just so much fun to talk to and engage with. I got my lashes done, so thank you, Soon. I'm not going to name names, but first time having lashes, and she made it a great experience. So really glad we got invited to that, and I was able to attend. I also want to reiterate, like I did last year, as we go into this new school year, it is very important that we pay attention with how we speak to and about our students. We should be asset framing. We should be speaking words of affirmation. We have great kids in this community, and they deserve all of the love and support that we can give them. So I just want everyone to make sure they're tending to their own mental health and getting rest before the start of the school year, but also just make sure that your interactions with our kids is pouring love into them.
Mr. McBride.
Pass.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes, I wanted to thank our new student board members for being here, and I also, it bothers me that I hear them struggling with the way that we treat each other, making a statement like that. And I'm wondering if we could do something positive this year. My suggestion is to you that, as student board members, that you would maybe go to a counselor or teacher and look for something positive. There is a website called Random Acts of Kindness Foundation. You're probably familiar with this. They have a high school curriculum as well that is available. And anybody completing that curriculum, it runs from 2 to 7 weeks, can earn 50 community service credit hours. But it's also something very positive. And it would seem to me that our students could possibly get together and feel good about doing random acts of kindness throughout the school, and it would rub off on others. When you do something kind for someone else, it makes them feel good. So I would like to see a positive effort. We're always talking about problems and not dealing with what we can do as individuals and as family members as well. Do something positive. Talk to your own students, parents, about doing something positive for someone else. And that can be life-changing to that person. So I encourage you as student board members, to take the initiative to maybe bring that into the high school. It might be a club. And it will not only make you feel better, but it will make the person that you do the random act of kindness to. So that's my suggestion. Because I know there can be a downer when something happens and we see violence in our community, or we see even the discord in our society. We can't agree about it. All you have to do is mention politics, and you get people on different ends, and they're hating each other. So I would like to see something like that started. Come back to us with something if you need some help with something like that. And thank you very much for being here tonight. And thank you to everyone who's bared with us this night. We're running late. We do have to go, I know, downstairs to finish business as well. So, and the best of luck to everyone as we get excited about the new school year that's going to be coming around very quickly. Thank you all tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Riddle. With that, I'd like a motion to go into to the community. We will be dismissing from closed session. Student board members, after we adjourn, you all will be dismissed. And there's no other public board action items that will be taking place this evening. But I do like a motion to go into closed session under exception C1, specific personnel, C11, actual threatened litigation, and C21, approval of previous closed session minutes. Seconded by Mr. Riddle. Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes, and if we can all turn our monitors off for Lee, that'd be great.
President Ewing?
Yes. We're now in closed session. If you guys can meet me downstairs as soon as possible.